Look how this man and I say the same thing. Look at that big old smile right there. What is this? What are we looking at here? Bernth. That's the channel. That's the guitar player. I honestly don't know really anything about him. I see his stuff come up all the time. I see he has instruction courses out. But let's find out. Do I agree that these are 5 big mistakes all self-taught guitarists make? I will say I don't really like absolutes, because like all self-guitarists make. Do they all do this? Maybe a great percentage. But I get it. You got to make a catchy title, right?
There's a very big chance that you, the awesome person that's watching this video, are a self-taught guitar player. And there's an even bigger chance that you're currently making some pretty bad mistakes that really stand in the way of getting better fast. This is how you might imagine a typical guitar progress curve. You obviously start your journey at the bottom with 0 skills and knowledge, but then you gradually move to the top over the years. And
well, I'll tell you what, right now, I'm pretty sure he's going to say that's not how it happens. And yeah, linear progress doesn't happen. So yeah, it doesn't go up linearly like that. It kind of goes up, down, up, down, up, down. It's like a jagged thing. You go up a bit, you're going to go straight a bit, then go up, and then go straight a little bit. You might go dip down sometimes. Definitely never linear. So let's keep going there. Yeah, expect all kinds of plateaus and struggles if you want to keep getting better and better and better.
Can finally play everything that you ever dreamed about. When in reality, it actually looks something like this. You constantly encounter obstacles with scheduling technique and theory skills. And
See?
as a self-taught player, you're often looking for the completely wrong solutions for these big problems. This results in a very frustrating and not exactly enjoyable journey, and you're often making all of this way harder for yourself than it actually has to be. A very big mistake that I keep seeing is actually a quite deep misunderstanding of what the term guitar technique actually means and why it's so important. No, guitar technique doesn't just mean playing fast, and no, guitar technique is also not just an umbrella term for many different individual techniques like alternate picking, sweep picking, tapping, or any other specific guitar technique. It's much more about how seemingly small details with your picking motion or with your fretting hand technique make a huge difference when it comes to the positive outcome and progress on your guitar journey.
Very much agree. Yeah, it is. There's so many tiny little things that you got to do with your hand and your arms all the time.
To play this following exercise to see where you're currently at with your guitar techniques.
Oh shit. Hey, well, all right, I'm gonna take the test. Look at that big old smile right there. Alright, well, I can pick it. I'll tell you this. My technique with the fretting definitely needs some work. And how would I clean that up? Obviously start at 60 and work it up by 5s. That's what I always do. That's what I tell everyone to do, because it fucking works. Much better. Much better. Very a bluegrass type kind of thing there, where you alternate pick all kinds of stuff like that. Normally, I wouldn't want to alternate pick something like that. I would do little sweeps instead. But hey, there we go. We just tried it out. Let's see what the man says next.
So this is a seemingly simple exercise, but surprisingly quite a lot of players really struggle with this one. The reason for that is that a lot of guitar players develop a one-sided picking escape movement preference. If you're...
Ooh, that's a Troy Grady territory right there. Look out!
Subscribed and part of our YouTube guitar community for a while now, you know that your pick has to escape from in between the strings and then jump over other strings in order to play advanced licks. And that exact pick escape movement, so away from that place in between your strings, is what might have tripped you up when you were playing this exercise, because the twist with this workout is that you have to escape in both directions in order to play. Early in our guitar journey, one of these movements, so either escaping from in between the strings with an upstroke or with a downstroke motion, comes easier for us than the other. As a self-taught player, that might be because of how you taught yourself to hold the pick, or because of the licks, music and players you've been studying so far. Either way, down the line, a lot of self-taught players tend to stick to just one of these motions.
I would say it's not just self-taught people either. I mean, certainly, but the whole escape motion thing is, I think it's relatively new to the guitar community. Maybe for like the past, I don't know how many years. What? I can't remember when Troy Grady first contacted me. Like, I'm not self-taught, but my guitar teacher never told me anything about that. You know, I actually spoke to him a couple weeks ago, talking about the whole, escape motion type stuff. And myself, I favor the downstroke escape because of, how I pick really, really fast. But I would say everybody favors one escape motion over the other. I think a lot of it is just, well, like he said, like whatever licks or riffs or people that you follow, that plays a very big part in it. Very big part. So I would say, I don't know where he's going to go with it, but I'll say it's not bad to favor one over the other. Not bad at all. Good to be able to escape on a down or an upstroke, of course, but favoring one over the other, there's nothing wrong with that at all.
With both pick escape movements, like this one for example.
Ooh, he's doing sextuplets. Oh shit, that's fast. That's fast. 6 notes a click here, and that's going to be too fast for most people to start with. Okay, so I recommend, if those of you watching want to get this up with the best chance possible, start with 3 notes a click. Start at 60, get that right, because you're not just doing the right hand escape motion stuff and all that stuff, or whatever your picking hand is, right hand, left hand. It's not just the picking that counts, it's the left hand. And because there's some rhythmic variations that happen in this, that also adds to the complexity of this riff, or this exercise, whatever you want to call it. So, yeah, we always want to start slow, because we need to get the muscle memory down for everything, and for something like this, we need to get the rhythm correct too, and then work this up to 240 or beyond with 3 notes a click before you start fiddling around with 6 notes a click, because that's difficult stuff for most people. Most people are not ready to be playing 6 notes a click because you haven't worked on it enough. 6 notes a click is fast. That's very fast stuff.
This is something I see every single day in the Patreon VIP Facebook group, where I'm coaching my awesome Patreon community. Of course, aspiring shredders are always drawn to the chromatic workouts.
Yeah, the chromatic stuff, stop it. Stop doing so much fucking chromatic work. Unless you plan on doing a bunch of chromatic stuff in your playing, like, they're not well designed to be more musical.
And that's perfectly okay. It's the same with me, of course, and I love working on this every single day to push myself even more. But take a guess right now what's actually missing from pretty much every single student routine I ever looked at. That's right, practical music theory. So with the following exercise, I would like to offer a compromise. This one that I'm working on right now in my practice routine is actually amazing for your alternate picking and for your sweep picking. But there is actually also a really cool and useful music theory twist. You're playing the arpeggios on all scale degrees.
Just want to pause there real quick. Yep. I'm curious why he put the B diminished as a capital Roman numeral. I was taught it needs to be lowercase because it is more closely related to a minor chord. I will also see the lowercase 7 Roman numeral with a degree symbol after it, which represents diminished. You will also see lowercase 7 Roman numeral with DIM after it, or even capitalized with DIM after it. But I suppose we're just being, arguing semantics, being pedantic, whatever. Let's continue.
Of the C major scale, quite similar to what I showed you last week when we talked about fretboard visualization. So you're actually starting out with the arpeggio on the 7th scale degree of the C major scale, and then you move backwards until you reach C major. And in addition to these really cool and useful sweep picking arpeggios, you're also alternate picking through all the 7 modes. So you're always starting out with the root note of each mode on the high E string, and you're also ending with the root note on the A string.
Well, how... Hold on a minute. I'll tell you this, 12th fret on the A string, that's an A. Is he tuned different? Because that's not a B diminished. And then that note's not in key. Okay, he is in standard tuning. Alright, well that's not a B diminished. Let's actually go into what that is. So, let's look at what we have here. The first note he's hitting is an A, not a B, not a B. Let's see, perhaps I will understand what's happening better after I input all this stuff. I hope this isn't going to... Let me move the keyboard so it doesn't sound all rumbly when I type. Alright, so the first note is an A, then he's hitting a C, and then he's going out of key here. 13th fret there, that's a... Well, let's say in this case, if we're looking at it as a diminished, we got A, C, E flat. There's another A, and then C, and then E flat. He's hammering on to an, well, we'll say G flat in this case. Kind of stick with the, skip every other note thing. All right, there we go. Those are the notes being used. So, look at it. So the A is your root note, C is your flat third or minor third, E flat is your flat 5 or diminished 5th. And then he repeats that. Root, flat third, flat 5. Now that G flat is a double flat 7. So what he's starting off with is not a B diminished arpeggio, he's playing an A diminished 7. If you move that up a whole step, yeah, but if you did it there, you move everything up 2 frets, that's a B diminished 7. And it's not even like fully, just like a regular diminished, because a diminished only has 3 notes, diminished 7's got the 4. But this part here, I mean, that is doing the B Locrian mode. That part, I agree with that. But I don't know why he did A diminished 7 instead of a B diminished arpeggio, because that's not a B diminished arpeggio. That's an A diminished 7. Or, okay, A minor arpeggio right now. Well, again, what do we actually have here? That's a big stretch, man. Alright, well this one is an A minor arpeggio over E. He's starting with the 5th interval of an A minor chord here. That, yes, that is an A minor arpeggio technically, even though you're starting on the E note. Well here, he is starting with a G. Yep. Definitely an F chord.
So yes, this one is a bit...
He cut it off! He cut it off again!
So yes, this one is a bit tricky, but trust me, sinking your teeth into this advanced workout is 100% worth it. With just one workout, you improve on your alternate picking, sweep picking, and also fretboard visualization. Alright,
so I got something I'd like to add on this. Are you working on all those things in the same thing? Absolutely. This is addressed to self-taught guitarists, right? Self-taught guitarists. If you are a beginner, having a workout or exercise that covers all that stuff at once, I would say that you're probably biting off more than you should be trying to chew. Yeah, like I feel it's best to focus on one thing at a time instead of as much stuff as possible at once. It's like trying to squat and bench press and deadlift all in like one kind of motion. Or something like, you know, one of those exercises where you can squat down, then you curl the weight up, and then you press overhead. You squat, curl it up, press overhead. I don't know, bend over, do a bent over row, and then that stuff. It's like, no, if you're gonna work on squats, you squat. You need to work on your overhead press. You work on your overhead press. So when I work with students, we work on one thing at a time. You want to start putting everything together, that's fine. It's like an extracurricular kind of thing, but you know. If you're struggling with alternate picking and you want to improve that, I would recommend just work on alternate picking. If you want to work on sweep picking, just work on the alternate, or yes, work on alternate picking for the sweep. If you want to work on sweep picking, work on the sweep picking. So as you just saw, my sweep picking is very subpar, especially compared to Bernth here. So I would need to just work on the sweep picking portion, not the alternate picking portion. As far as like this really working on music theory, I would say kind of. I mean, yeah, you're learning stuff on the fretboard. The first shape, though, as we just went over, was not a B diminished chord. That was an A diminished 7. So that one is not right. But yeah, learning arpeggio shapes can, you know, teach you what arpeggio shapes are. Is that necessarily learning music theory? I guess to me, when I'm thinking like music theory, it's an explanation of what it is. Like, you know, you learn what it is first, and then like, okay, now you can use it in this context here. So like learning what your triads are, which is kind of what he was talking about there, like your diminished, your major, your minor, and then putting it in key. So anyway,
this is something that self-taught rock and metal guitar players are especially guilty of, since we're all about the shredding and the riffs, of course, but not so much about the beautiful chords and ballads. So with most practice routines of self-taught players in this genre, you don't really see chords or strumming exercises in there at all. I was one of these players as well, and when I actually scored my very first big pop/rock gig, I was actually quite shocked by how hard it was to play simple strumming patterns perfectly to a click in a live or studio environment.
So if anyone's taken lessons with me, well, not anyone, I'd say most people that have taken lessons with me know we start by strumming chords for the most part. Power chords, yes, because it's based in metal, but we also learn the old cowboy chords, even jazz chords eventually, depending on how far we go with the music theory portion of things. Yeah, but you know, even if it is single note playing that you're focused on, you still need solid rhythm in order to make your lead playing and your single note riffing sound the best that it can. Because if your rhythm sucks, everything suffers.
Admit it together with me, we all spend so much time on the fast, crazy and virtuosic stuff in our practice routine. But if we are completely honest, a lot of us really struggle with the basic fundamentals of guitar playing because we never actively worked on building or at least maintaining those basic skills.
But if you work with me, that's exactly what you're going to be doing. We absolutely cover the fundamentals and the building blocks to how all this stuff is done, so you can venture off on your own eventually and handle anything that you set out to do, because you'll understand how to practice, you'll understand how to count things, how to feel it out, all that good stuff. So yes, absolutely agreeing with him 100% here. You gotta have the fundamentals in order to be the best player you want to be.
Suggestion is at least including some funk patterns in your workouts with rhythmic dead note patterns across multiple strings. Not only is this great for your timing, it's also very beneficial for unlocking your wrist motion for fast picking.
I do agree that you having some looseness to your wrist while you play is very I'm going to say beneficial. Necessary? Yeah, maybe. Maybe it is necessary. Now, again, if you're a beginner, like I mean, look at this pattern here. He's starting off with a group of 30-second notes there. He's got 4 30-second notes. So basically what you're looking at here is the mouse showing up. Yeah, it's showing up. You got your 8th note, 4 30-seconds, and then 3 solid beats, or 3 beats of solid 16th notes. And then you have an 8th note, 2 16s, so your standard gallop there. And then he's got, we could say 16th note triplets, but you can also look at it as 6 notes a click, because you could beam these together right here and show 6 notes a click. So he's got some performance stuff here, having you strike the strings a bit harder at this point. Now this is something I really don't do with students. I don't do much string breaking stuff at all. Nothing wrong with doing it like this. It's good to practice strumming. But yeah, like one thing to add to this whole strumming thing, I like to think of it like you have a slight bend to the wrist like this. So you bend it just a little bit, and then it kind of looks like this. Almost like you're rotating your arm for a lot of that strum stuff. Now there is some, actually went over this recently, some elbow motion that happens in this. It's not like keeping the wrist rigid and trying to do it like that. So a little bit of elbow does happen, but it's kind of like doing this and like trying to shake, I don't know, like if your hand's wet and you're trying to shake it dry, just kind of do that sort of thing. Just kind of flop it down and up this way. Hey, what can we do to actually make it more metal, huh? What can we do there? Does it have to be funk? Absolutely not. You can still get this kind of stuff with doing a metally thing. Why not go between an E5, an open E5, and an F? Maybe stay on one chord for a bit and get used to the rhythm. Something like that. So, I mean, you could take that pattern and do all kinds of stuff with it there. I don't see anything wrong with sticking with like the power chord stuff if you want it to sound more metal, because you get the same kind of work in instead of, you don't have to do the funk thing. You don't have to do the string rake stuff, because it does need to be something that you want to hear as well, right? I think so. Anyway, nothing wrong with what is being demonstrated here. I just wanted to show an alternative thing you could do to work on that specific rhythm and make it fucking metal.
Should you practice with distortion or with a clean sound in your daily routine?
I don't know what he's going to say, but I'm going to answer that one. It depends on what you're trying to do. If you want to get good with distortion, I say practice with distortion. Like, there's a lot of stuff with distortion. People, a lot of times you hear people say distortion covers up mistakes. It depends. If you're playing like really crazy fast and it's just filling in like percussive sounds and you can't tell what the hell's going on anymore, sure, it can cover up mistakes in that aspect. However, if you're playing slow and you're focused on good technique, good rhythm and all that stuff, distortion can really expose bad muting technique. So distortion, for the most part, yeah, just play with distortion on. If you want to get good with distortion, play with the damn thing on. If you're trying to play like a bunch of cowboy chords, jazz chords, things like that, yeah, play with no distortion. Just do it clean. Do it clean. And I have had people work on hammer-ons and pull-offs with distortion turned off, because they, like the compression in distorted sounds, it makes like pull-offs that are more like a hammer-on from nothing sound louder. So if you can do hammer-ons and pull-offs well without distortion, that's a good thing. So sometimes I will, yes, have students practice that stuff, no distortion, even on an acoustic. I had one guy do that because he really needed to get the technique right. We didn't want any amp stuff helping him out. So yeah, there's my response. Should you practice with distortion? For the most part, yes, if you want to get good with distortion. Clean on for certain circumstances, such as making sure your hammer-ons and pull-offs are done properly and the compression is not doing the work for you.
Why this is actually quite confusing for self-taught players is that a lot of distortion seemingly hides mistakes or simply covers them up a bit. But the thing is,
Ooh.
You actually often can't hear unwanted noise.
See? We said the same thing. Distortion amplifies unwanted noise. Wait, that's kind of covered up there. Whoop. There you go. Unwanted noise. See? See? He says the same thing.
It's resulting from a sloppy fretting hand technique with a clean sound, because as you know, distortion greatly amplifies this problem. So what I can really recommend and what I do myself every single day when it comes to working on rock and metal guitar technique is working with a sound similar to this one.
So, it's not a bad idea, practicing with light distortion. I'm curious how well that light distortion would actually amplify the unwanted noise, though. Without fiddling around or trying that specific sound and that setup, my concern is that someone with an untrained ear might not catch the unwanted noise. Until you have a trained ear, you might want to play with more distortion because it will amplify the mistakes or the poor muting technique a lot better. I do agree having the reverb and delay, all those kinds of effects turned off is a very good thing. You can have a dry, distorted sound that doesn't have, you know, your reverb and delay causing like echoes and things. Because sometimes you might hear the echo or delay and think, oh, well, it was that, when it turns out it's unwanted noise.
There are two big issues that are not really talked about that much, especially about self-taught players: posture and body tension. So if your practice posture is completely different from your live playing posture, you might also get completely different results sound-wise, and that's probably not what you're going for.
Yeah, that's sitting down versus standing up can make a huge difference. Yeah, I try to have my guitar strap set in such a way that it is very close to how it feels when I'm sitting down. So that means I don't have the James Hetfield thing where the guitar is down to my knees. I have it high, looking like a nerd on stage. But at least I can play my riffs. I might not look as cool. Do I sound cool, though? Depends on the person, I suppose. I'm sure to a lot of people it sounds like ass and they don't like my stuff. Some people, a couple people out there like it. At least two, I think.
Having my guitar in this exact position actually allows me to easily prepare at home for these concerts, because I can have my guitar on a strap just like this when I'm sitting down. So it's essentially almost the exact same feeling when I'm sitting down.
See, look at that. Look how this man and I say the same thing when it comes to this stuff. I like that. I like how we think the same. That topic right there could easily be made into a greater detailed video. Because yeah, just saying like take a deep breath and just relax when you go on stage, like that's definitely easier said than done. I mean, you can like visualize yourself on stage. Just imagine yourself on stage and take time to visualize yourself doing it, running through everything. Like listen to the music you're going to be playing and just visualize how it's going to be. Stand up while you're doing it. Try and like really put yourself in that moment. So this way you kind of preparing yourself mentally for that sort of thing. That's not an easy thing to practice. That's like getting up in front of people as much as you can, if that's what you want to do, is necessary. Except if you can accept the fact that you might feel freaked out and like, oh God, you know, the first several times you go on stage. If you can accept that, that might help. If you expect yourself to be calm and not feel nervous at all, you might be setting yourself up for disaster. I have been playing for over 20 years. I've barely been on stage in that time. Maybe 20 times, tops, I don't know. It's really sad. I would like to be on stage more. But I would always get nervous. I would always get nervous before going on stage. And I remember reading somewhere, like, I think Dave Murray said from Iron Maiden, that he still gets nervous before going on stage. It's like when you care about what you're gonna do, you feel nervous, you know? We're almost here at the end. We got less than a minute left on this video. Let's finish out. But yeah, just like visualizing how it is on stage. I do agree, like trying to take a deep breath before you go on stage is important. One thing to keep in mind, like if you're worried about mistakes and things like that, just don't make the mistake face. Don't make a mistake face when you're on stage, because most likely people in the audience, they're not going to know you made a mistake unless you make it very obvious that you did. Just watch your facial expressions if you do screw up. Know the song well enough that you're playing that you can continue on even though the mistake is made. So, Yeah, you got to practice the ever-living hell out of whatever you're going to do on stage. So this way you're basically sick of practicing it. But when you're on stage, muscle memory kicks in, you're on autopilot, and you have a much better chance of doing a good performance. So yes, you want all those, the exercises or whatnot that Mr. Bernth. Yeah, go to his Patreon page. Patreon.com/BERNTH. Hey, I got a Patreon thing too. Of course I do. For $1 a month, you can get over 100 different lessons. And it greatly helps. Every dollar absolutely helps to be able to do more stuff like this. Absolutely. I do plan on doing more of this. The sweep picking is easy. Right away, just that title right there, I completely disagree with that. I think sweep picking is one of the hardest things you could ever learn. It is extremely difficult, but, you know, we'll find out in perhaps the next stream why this man says sweep picking is easy. We'll find out. He might have some good points. I don't know. All right. Thank you to everyone who watched the stream, was able to participate, was able to comment. This stream is... yeah.